Welcome back to the Nerd District. My name is Jeremy. We are on day 2 of our 7 days of Christmas. Come on, let's get a round of applause. We're cooking. Because today we're reacting to the volume 2 of Stranger Things. Yes, we all know it was coming. We all knew it was coming. And honestly, I am very hyped for this trailer. I've been trying to avoid spoilers online, you know, the random little TikToks people make, or, you know, Instagram videos, or whatever it may be. I've been avoiding just for y'all. So without further ado, let's go.
We failed. We never stood a chance.
This is not over. Not by a long shot.
So guys, as we're already seeing, and again, let's not be misinformed, because we already know, at least I'm thinking in the back of my head, they're not going to give us all the answers in this very small trailer that we got here. All the answers of what actually is going to be happening. They're going to try to deceive us a little bit, keep things, you know, under wraps, but still show us enough to get us hyped. So as you guys are already seeing, off the jump, off the beginning, you almost seem like Mike is in the upside down, right? I'm not seeing the little brown snow, black snow, or whatever you want to call it, debris that is usually in the upside down. Didn't look like I could see any, but it looks like he's definitely there. It looked like you got a flash of that red lightning. This could be a scene of when they finally go in the upside down, maybe to meet up with Eleven, her sister, and Hopper. This could very well be that very scene.
This whole time, everything we have ever assumed about the Upside Down has been dead wrong.
Now, I will say, you call me an overanalyzer, but when he said everything we've known about the Upside Down up to this point or whatever, that was a very big space to say dead wrong. Now, granted, it could just be for shock factor, right? It could be like keeping you on the edge of your seat, you know, something that he says that is just like set something in stone for the viewer. However, it could also, again, be different scenes that they combined into one to just mislead us. As you guys see, we also see Max and Holly walking up to a random door in a field. And this could be them running away out of the cave and going to explore deeper into the forest, but it looks like almost they're going into different memories of Henry. 110% be eventually the way they get out of his mind.
Mother of God.
Help me find him. Kill him.
Okay, right here, straight out the, again, another straight out the gate thing. Like, I get it's a trailer, but I feel like we're only like, what, 30 seconds into this trailer? But as we see this big floating red orb, it almost looks like a source of power, I would even say. This could be many different things. Again, this could be some type of source of power. This could be like a Lord of the Rings thing with the eye that, you know, looks around and tells all of the army where you guys are at. Like, I don't know
what that's called, Lord of the Rings.
But it could very much be something kind of similar, because as you guys already saw straight out the gate, it looked like Dustin and Steve, I believe is who it was. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. Spare me on that one, bucko. But it looked like they were at the bottom floor of where Joseph, why am I saying Joseph? Jonathan. What are we talking about? It looked like they were at the bottom floor where Jonathan and Nancy are, but at the same token, it could also be 2 different places with the same orb.
Showtime.
Welcome down, Wheeler, yeah!
Kind of thought that was supposed to be the easy part.
It was.
Yeah, that definitely was supposed to be the easy part.
I don't know what's on the other side of any of this.
So, even just off of the little stuff we saw, it wasn't much, but it's enough for me to get something out of it. You know what I'm saying? From the very first trailer that we saw with Stranger Things, right? We saw Lucas, who was in the hospital with what seemed to be an unconscious Max. It seemed to be unconscious Max, and the demo dogs were in the hospital, and he was hiding from one of them, right? And we were all wondering, is he is he gonna survive? Because it looked like he was cooked. I think this is another aspect, maybe when the demo dogs first get to the hospital. I'm thinking it may even be very early into the very first episode of this second volume, picking up straight up after Will had killed all the Demogorgons, right? So this could very well be the beginning of that whole entire concept scene, or that I think that foot was a demo dog foot, which also shout out to the demo dogs. We haven't seen them in a minute. They're making a comeback. That's pretty sick. I think it's gonna be Lucas, that girl that owns her own like radio show, and honestly maybe even like one other person that we have seen or know that are gonna go to the hospital, probably originally to save Max, but of course we know that one girl has alternative motive. I think that's how you say that.
If we want to stand a chance of surviving.
Yep, that's the same scene with Lucas and Max.
It is time.
So that was a lot to process. One, we see Henry tweaking out off of what seems to be fentanyl. You're like the glitch girl from Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know what that was, brother. But one thing we can say is this may be either a Holly in the Upside Down. He definitely seems like he's chasing down Holly, or, you know, going after her. It does look like she's very shocked. She turns. Maybe she's like, you know, at a dead end in like the kitchen or some room of the house, and Vecna's right there to be like, surprise!
For new world.
So that little sound wave, or what seems to be like some type of sound wave, almost seems like it is coming from where they had the radio station at least that's kind of what I would assume. That seems like the only place in Hawkins that can be capable of something of that magnitude. As you guys see, there was like a red burst of energy and a blue one. I'm thinking the blue one may be what they do when they, like, you know, fix what's wrong, but I think Vecna's gonna bring out that little red, whatever it is. If not, it may be the merging of the two worlds, because I'm thinking that's what Vecna wants to do. But yeah, I'm thinking that's very well what could be happening in that scene.
You die, I die.
You die, I die.
A lot to go through right there. One, we see a very heartwarming moment with Steve and Dustin where he's saying, listen, if you die, I die, and he says right back. Clearly they made up for what they were mad at each other for. We also see one of the demo dogs being, I'm pretty sure it was demo dog, being tortured. I'm talking tortured. I'm guessing this is some sort of experiment to see if they can actually, you know, hurt demo dogs, hurt Demogorgons without hurting Will. That's the only reason I see why they would do that. Okay. So one thing I'd also noticed with these last couple of scenes that we saw, one, we had saw Vecna come off his little tentacle things that we had seen him come off of. What was that, season 4? I think that's when he uses, like, you know, his mind tricks on people and stuff like that. It could also very well be like some type of buff that he gets from the children that he already has kidnapped, right? As well as that, we also see Eleven tweaking out, and we don't know if she's killing someone or what she's doing, but she's tripping. We know she's doing something, right? And this is also 11 that has her hair shaved. Don't know why she did that, but she did. So I don't know if that like increases her power, like the length of your hair. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me either. Trust me, brother. So yeah, guys, that was the Stranger Things Volume 2 trailer. I don't know about you guys, but I'm incredibly hyped. However, I want to get straight into my theory for Volume 2. So, as we do know a little bit of information outside of the actual show itself, there was a play that recently happened where, you know, no one is going to ever be able to see. You had to be there, but we did get some summary of the people that were there. They kind of explained what it was about in a nutshell. And really, the whole entire thing was just revolved around Henry's past. And one of the main things that was said, not only how he got his powers, but how everyone else got their powers as well. Now, I don't know if there's something that they're going to touch on throughout the show, but I think they very much should if they don't, because this is definitely a big thing that we need to know. It's definitely a reveal that we need to have. So if you guys don't know about this reveal, and if you guys are saying, oh, I want to wait until I see it in the show, or if it even happens, then just know you're gonna want to skip a little bit. All right, you're gonna want to skip a little bit, because we got a spoiler alert, semi-spoiler alert. But what the whole entire major play was about was, again, like I said, Vecna's past, things he had went through. And in his past, it said that he somehow came across something that the military was doing, and it had something to do with interdimensional travel. This is when Henry, as a child, for the first time goes to the Upside Down, right? Then inside the Upside Down, he meets the Mind Flayer and all sorts of stuff like that. We don't really know to an extent what actually happened when he was there, but he ends up coming back. When he came back, Dr. Brenner realized through this kid, you know, instantly coming across what they were doing and going into the Upside Down, that he gained special form of abilities that they then used to harness to the maximum possible scenario. This then created number one, aka Henry. They then use blood transfusion with Henry's blood to implant to all these other women, giving their children these powers. That's basically why everyone has powers to the extent that they have it. Of course, you know, outside of like Will. And that was basically the whole entire start of what was happening at Hawkins with Dr. Brenner. So now this breaks into my theory. I think volume 2 is mainly going to be centered around Vecna and his whole entire past. This has very much been teased online. A lot of people were speculating this anyways. But the reason I think this is just because of the fact that, yes, Max and Holly, to get out, I think are going to have to go through all of his memories, and they're going to have to witness things that he had seen and things that he had went through. Now, what I personally think that red orb is, that, you know, Jonathan, Nancy, Steve, as well as Dustin are all at, maybe the core of those memories. As we all know, Max almost got out of this daydream or Vecna's mind or whatever you want to call this. We don't necessarily know what would have happened if she did go through that portal, but it could very well be something similar as the red orb we see in the Upside Down, or at least in the trailer. Now, how's this tie into his backstory? Because I think Max and Holly seeing their backstory, when Max comes to, he can tell everyone, hey, this is who Henry really is, this is who Vecna really is, this is what he grew up with, this is how it all started. This would then help him and give him a huge advantage against Vecna in the final fight. Now, I personally think this is going to happen within like the first 2 episodes. It could be like episode 2 to 3, but it's definitely not going to be the very last episode, or at least I don't think it will be. I think this is going to be like the very first 2 episodes. Each episode is supposed to be like an hour and 20-something minutes long, so they definitely have the time to do this. So kind of the aura of how things are going to go, I think we're going to pick up straight where we left off. Duh! And then straight going out of there. I don't know necessarily what will happen in between of these events, but I think from there, they're going to eventually go to try save Max, because Will's going to sense the Demodogs coming to that hospital. This is then going to lead Lucas as well as Homegirl to go save their beloved ones. And there might be another person with them, but that has honestly really mattered for my whole entire theory. Then, out of that, right after they end up saving Max, or whatever ends up happening there, they might even split up. Who knows? But what we do know is Nancy Wheeler goes ahead and is like, you know, let me go ahead and walk down the whole entire military with a light machine gun on top of Murray's truck. It made an opening to where she can then drop back down, and it seemed like they all drove right through the... And I think it was very much signified when it showed the glowing red lights in the back of wherever they were at. I'm assuming that's, you know, a little telltale sign that they were inside the Upside Down. Now, however, another theory could be that Vecna successfully merges the Upside Down with the real world, and that's why you see that, but you don't really see much debris flying around. This could also very well be the case. He said he wants to fix the world. In the trailer, it seems like he at least gets close to it. Now, who's going to die? I don't think Lucas is going to die. I'm going to say it straight off gate. Lucas's death would not be a huge importance. Yes, I like Lucas. I like his character. I think he has a decent character arc throughout the whole entire show. But his death wouldn't be a necessarily meaningful one, especially because the fact that, you know, they just got Max back, losing Lucas, even though Lucas already almost died last season, it just wouldn't hit you as hard. It would almost seem like they're teasing you up. He almost died. Oh, it just wouldn't hit as heavy. You know what hit as heavy from the original group? Someone like Will, Mike, or Dustin dying. They're all valuable options. Now, who do I think is most likely to die out of the original group? Honestly, probably Will. Because this is just something that played into my mind where it could be a scenario where, like, you know, Will needs to die for Vecna to die, maybe like a final boss battle. I don't know what. The most I'm leaning towards could be Will for like just a practical scenario. Now, from a writing standpoint, I think it might be Dustin, Dustin then coming back, being friends again with Steve, them just then making up would also make a great death for Steve's character development, as well as legitimately everyone else in the group. Everyone else in the show has a really good relationship with Dustin. Dustin's kind of made his way into being a very special type of character where he's not, you know, necessarily 100% involved in the main plot. He doesn't really have, like, you know, love interests, but what he does have is just personality like a motherfucker. And this is the only main reason why, is because what he had said to Eleven in this last volume that we got, that at the end of his D&D game, his whole entire team, the band that wins, the group, right, they all leave their hometown because the hometown knows too much, right, and it carries just too much history, so they all leave. Now, this isn't gonna be a new concept. You have Hopper with Joyce, you can have Eleven going back with, you know, Jonathan going back with Will, and they could all leave Hawkins. I definitely believe that whoever survives this is not staying in Hawkins. If anyone does, it could be Lucas and Max, because Max could just be with Lucas. I don't even know if she has any family. And, you know, I don't think Lucas's family knows too much at all. I think those are like the only two people that would be valid to stay in Hawkins. If I had to narrow it down, I had to say who's gonna die out of the whole entire group, I honestly would either have to put it between three different people. It is either going to be Will or Jonathan. That is my first pick, right? I think that's, when it comes to the Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan dilemma, one of those boys gotta die or get over it. And I don't think they're getting over it. Now, my second character to die, and this is definitely a tough one. I'm gonna either go Steve or Dustin, right? For the same reason I said Jonathan, I'm gonna say Steve, you know. One, he would be another great character to die. It seemed like he has a decent relationship with most of the people in the show. So it definitely would be one of those things where he sacrificed himself for the betterment of the group. It's not like something that he hasn't tried to do before or hasn't been willing to do. And again, Dustin is another great character to die since, you know, his connection with almost the whole entire cast. So either would be a great death. Now, number three, who is the third person I think is most likely to die? Either Eleven or Mike. Yeah, I don't think they're getting a happy ending. So let's really think about this logically. If Eleven dies, what purpose does it serve? Okay, it might be like a cool final battle moment, or like, you know, she gives up her life again for her friends, that classic trope. I mean, yeah, Mike's just gonna stay with his family. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see him leaving Hawkins. Maybe his family would. I mean, his dad's seems like he's basically dead now. His mom's like, you know, on life support, so he's definitely staying there for a little bit. You know, him and Nancy are just gonna go to a really fucked up life, and I'm not gonna lie. You know, he's gonna lose his woman. It's gonna be very weird, you know what I'm saying? Especially because I would assume that, you know, say if Eleven did die, then Jonathan, Will, Joyce, and Hopper are all definitely leaving Hawkins. They're not staying there. I don't even think they have a place to necessarily stay in. So those are the people that I think are going to die and are going to pass away, with some honorable mentions being like people like Murphy or that one nurse girl. You know, she could definitely die. And these would be like deaths that are not necessarily huge. But yeah, that is definitely going to be my theory and what I personally think of the trailer. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with anything I said, or if you guys have your own personal theory, drop it down below in the comment section. This is all I have for you guys today. But drop a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and leave a like. It very much helps the channel to grow. And without further ado, I'll see y'all.